Hello and welcome back to our XR Foundations tutorial series. This is episode 8, where I'm going to be talking about the various cockpit modes and do a little bit more flight training. I have discovered something new about, I believe, 7.60 that I didn't realize was the case, which I will excitedly tell you about in a little bit, because apparently I've been telling you something wrong in previous episodes. So, all right, first up, we've got our regular throttle, which, as you can see, you see your pin for your speed, and then the actual speed as it catches up to the pin. This shows your current speed, and then we have that little double arc pip that tells you your direction of travel. When you're in the regular mode of the cockpit, standard flight model, your ship will always try to match your direction of travel to the orientation of your ship while you're under motion, right? Like while you're accelerating, while you're in flight. Obviously, if you have stopped, it won't do that. It won't even show you the pip because you're not really moving. Okay, so that's your standard stuff. The next thing to show you then is flight assist off. So flight assist on is your default, and here it is. Flight assist on right now is this little light here underneath the flares. And flight assist will be your default operation basically when you start the game. And I believe in general most players will stay in flight assist turned on because it's easier, and if you're hardcore about the flight mechanics, you can turn it off, which we'll be looking at. But it is definitely an easier game to play with a flight assist turned on. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn it off. This is going to be a hotkey or a button. Now it is off, and you can see here the indicator light is off. And now
we found something out here.
Oh, we don't need your help. We're gonna have to ignore that. Okay, so now if I decelerate, or I should say if I pull my throttle back, I don't decelerate. I stay at my speed here, and I can rotate my ship without changing my direction of travel. So this is your standard flight assist off mode of travel. If I do an external view, you can see here, there I go. You can see the little stardust motion lines, essentially showing you which way we're traveling. And on top of that, my speed indicator at the bottom there, the minus 229, will adjust to suit exactly what we're looking at based on my orientation. So this is my speed based on my orientation, not my speed based on my direction of travel. So if I'm over here, going directly backwards, more or less, then relative to my orientation, I'm going at minus 246 meters per second. And of course, if I want to go the other way, I then accelerate, and now the vector pip starts to approach. And it's just a combination of vectors. If I stop again here, go this way, accelerate, then it will again slowly start to approach. In most cases, it won't come all the way because I'm not actually adding enough vector in the other direction for the two to match up like that, for the pip to come over. However, if I use boost, because boost makes me go much farther, much faster, I should say, then the pip will approach really fast. There we go. And so that's the next thing to talk about, which is boost. Boost, again, is going to be a hotkey or a button. Let me turn the flight assist back on. And boost will allow you to rapidly accelerate and increase your speed to a much higher maximum than what you'd get under your standard cockpit mode. So there's my boost. Of course, the max speed will always depend on the ship and the type of engine you're flying with. but you can definitely expect a much higher speed with the boost. The ratio will be much lower when you're in a bigger ship. In like an extra large, a boost is not going to do very much for you. And on top of that, your boost energy depletes fairly quickly. You can see here this blue line, blue double line. It's now recharging, but then if I boost again, as you can see, it's dropping down. And when it hits the 0 mark, it will turn the boost off. There we go. All right. So, the next thing to talk about is travel mode. Travel mode is one of the 4 non-standard cockpit modes. Boost and flight assist off don't really count as modes so much as they are just features. But there's travel drive, scan mode, long range scan mode, and CETA mode. CETA mode is the fast forward mode. It fast forwards the entire universe. So it doesn't actually make your ship go faster, other than the fact that it's just your everything is going faster. It's a really handy way of basically moving time forward while you're waiting for a particular trade to finish up on a station or something like that. It's not really a mode for the cockpit so much as it is a mode for the universe. So we're going to talk about travel mode first up. And the way to get to that is by this little drop down, ship interactions, and go to modes. I don't have CETA mode here because it is a piece of equipment that you actually have to craft and then install inside the game. And so I just, since this is a new game start, I don't have that. But travel mode, scan mode, and long range scan mode are here. So there's doing it that way, or by, again, using a hotkey or a button. And what it will do is it will light up your cockpit orange. It will turn your speed blue. And it will give you ludicrous speed. There we go. In this mode, you're going to get an acceleration, well, pretty good acceleration, and a top speed that's even higher than your boost would be. And again, the relative, the ratio of regular speed to travel speed maximums will depend on the ship and the type of drive that you're using. But here we can see now we're moving really fast across this system. And then you can turn travel drive off either by hitting that hotkey again or coming up here and going to stop. The alternative as well is to just hit your brake, which again, hotkey or button. If I hit my brake, which will rapidly decelerate me, if I hit the brake, boom, there it goes. Stops. All right. Now, there's a couple of other things to look at in travel mode. The first one is something that's relatively new. I think either with 7.0 or 7.5. It used to be that when you were in travel mode, turning the ship was a chore. It would make the cockpit sound like it was about to fall apart, and it would be hard turns. It would be very difficult to make the turns, like flying through molasses. Nowadays, though, it's actually not that bad. It's still slower than regular cockpit speeds, but it's not awful. However, you can combine travel mode with flight assist off. So if I turn flight assist off, I now have my original standard cockpit rotation speeds. And again, turn flight assist back on again. And then travel drive, still engaged, will now change my direction of travel to match where my nose is. And there we go. Now, the new trick I discovered, just as I was attempting a previous version of this episode, is really cool. It used to be, and I believe I have said this a couple of times in earlier episodes of this tutorial series, It used to be that if you entered or exited travel mode with flight assist turned off, it would turn it right back on again. That's no longer true. And I'm very excited about that, because what that means is that players now have the ability, if they would like to pretty much be in flight assist off all the time, and they never have to worry about accidentally getting reset to that mode when they get in and out of travel drive. Now, I don't know if that is also the case with docking. It used to be that when you would dock and then take off again, flight assist would be back on no matter what. That may have also been changed. I imagine it was. I'm guessing that the goal of the change was to make people happy who wanted to stay in flight assist off all the time. So I'm just trying to reorient myself so I don't go into a weird spot in the map. Just fly off into space where there's nothing interesting to look at. Okay, so let's say I'm in flight assist off. Turn off travel drive. Well, what do you know? I'm still in flight assist off. Like I said, that was not the case for like the first 7 versions of the game. Very exciting. And of course, I can use boost. And so now I have the ability to combine these modes into a variety of different ways. And if I go back into travel drive, flight assist stays off. Isn't that exciting? If you're a new player, it'll seem like obvious, but if you've been playing as long as I have, for over 1,000 hours across the however many years this has been out, that's a revelation. Okay, now, the next thing to look at within travel drive, the last thing I'll talk about here, is something to do with your max speed in travel mode. So, if I do this, and I go into travel drive, I'm using my my throttle button for that right now. Actually, there's 2 more things I want to talk about, but the first one is this. So I'm going to get up to my max speed here. It's going to take a minute. It's going to be a little awkward while we wait. Anyway, we're getting there. It's going to be in the 4,000s, right? So once you hit your max speed, it'll pin to that max speed, and then you'll just keep going at that speed for however long you're in travel drive. One interesting trick that you can use is flight assist turned off will actually halt your increasing velocity when you're in travel mode. So if I swing back around, where the heck is these stations and everything? There we go. If I swing back around and I turn off my mode and I stop. All right, let's go to full stop here. Now we do it again. Travel mode. Flight assist off. Notice I have now pinned at 401 meters per second, which is definitely not my maximum travel speed, but it's also higher than my maximum regular cockpit speed. And I can flight assist back on and keep going and then stop it again. And so you can actually do mid-range speeds in travel mode if you want to. You just got to turn your flight assist off. It's kind of a poor man's match speed. There is also a match speed option. That is something we'll talk about probably during the combat episode. And match speed works in travel mode as well as regular cockpit mode. But this is just a fun little trick that you can use. Sometimes it's handy to be going 1/3 of your travel speed. Okay, so that's travel drive. Next thing we want to look at, I don't know why I went out of travel mode there. Oh, the very last thing I want to look at in travel mode, sorry, now I know why I was doing that, is that you can, in some circumstances, combine boost with travel drive. Notice how the travel drive takes a couple seconds to spin up. It takes about 5 seconds in this ship and travel drive combo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it hits. That's the spin up time. It'll vary from ship to ship and from drive to drive. But during the spin up time, I can actually use the boost. So if I go max speed here, and I just do this again, I'm doing my max speed because my my travel mode button is right next to full throttle up. You can travel drive from a dead stop if you want to. It doesn't make a difference. So we're going max speed, and then I hit my travel drive and immediately start to boost. The boost will stop as soon as the travel drive has fully spun up, but you're still accelerating the whole time. And so it's a way to get your travel drive to go even faster at the start than it would otherwise. Now, some ships have a much shorter travel drive spin-up time, and some have a spin-up time of essentially 0. And if that's the case, even though the acceleration doesn't really pick up until a little bit later, you will get that acceleration sound. You will get the engine sound and none of those tick, tick, ticks. And if that's the case, then you just can't boost, because the boost stops as soon as the travel drive has fully spun up. And there are some travel drives and some ships that spin up instantaneously, and therefore there's no option for boost. Okay, that's enough about travel drive. There we go, using that little trick again. And I think I'm upside down, yes, relative to this station. So the next thing we're going to look at is scan mode. Again, you can do that from here or from a hotkey. The default keys are going to be Shift 1, Shift 2, Shift 3, and then Shift 4 for CETA mode. So we're going to go into scan mode. Now, scan mode gets you this really nice purple cockpit light. Scan mode is not a speed mode. What it does is it allows you to...
We found something out here.
Oh, this guy again. I'm going to ignore that. It allows you to scan other ships, and it allows you to scan stations. We'll talk about this in more detail later on, but scanning stations is really important if you want to learn about what the station is producing and how it's doing, if you want to learn blueprints and things like that, and if you want to take like black market missions and so on. There are signal leaks that happen on stations. You'll hear them, and having yourself in scan mode is how you sort of track those. So you can see right now on this panel here on the right, it says information unlocked 22%. That means I have only scanned 22% of this station. But as I move around, you can hear that pip sound, that little chime, telling me that I've learned a little bit more about the station. All right, now the next thing then to look at is the signal leak. So in scan mode, you can see signal leaks more easily, and I know there was one over here, partly because the tutorial system told me there was, but also because I saw it. There it is. Check that out. All right, that's a signal leak. So I can approach it. Now, some things are going to happen. Either I'm going to get a special discount because I've hacked in a little bit or something, like I got a signal, or it might be a black market mission, or if you are not playing with some of the DLC, it might actually be the start of the main storyline from the original game, the original X4 Foundations with no DLC. I'm not going to talk too much about that because, if you're doing that, then you can, kind of want to learn that for yourself. But just FYI, scanning a leak on a station, scanning a signal leak is how you get that started. So as we approach, you can see the little signal strength indicator right here is getting hotter and hotter. And you can hear it as well. And then you can hear a little bit of a message. So we just need to get close enough.
I know this is unconventional, but
One moment, please.
And then down here, we have a communication. Oh, and there we go. Oh, no, it's him. All right, pretend you didn't see that. That was the start of the version of that particular mission I was talking about, based on having the other DLC installed. You can get that started without using the signal leaks when you've got the other DLC. You can basically get the elements of that storyline that way, but yeah, the signal leaks is the way you do it. So what happened there was we got a communication. It basically came up with the guy over there telling us something, and then you follow up. Now, sometimes that'll be telling you that there's a mission that you can take from the black market. Sometimes it'll just tell you, hey, you've unlocked some discounts. Anyway, that's how you do it. You approach a signal leak while in scan mode. You can also approach them in your spacesuit, but that's a little bit more tedious. All right, so let's take a look here.
Weapon component.
So notice now we're at 51% information unlocked because I've been flying around this enough to actually get more of the station scanned by my ship. Okay, so that is the first way you use scan mode. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. There we go. The second way is I got to find a ship.
Nova.
There we go. We'll talk to that guy. Is you can scan ships themselves. And you can see here right now, it's not telling us very much about this ship because we haven't scanned it. Now, be advised, scanning a ship is not always a peaceful action. Sometimes it is taken as an aggressive action and makes people angry. So know what you're doing before you do it. Oh, and I should mention also, again, regarding the travel drive, if you are flying one of those drives that doesn't have a spin-up time, where basically you can't use the boost after you've hit the travel drive, just do it the other way around. Start your boost, and while you've got the boost going, hit your travel drive, and then it will basically pick up from there. So there are ways to essentially short circuit the travel drive acceleration at the early stages. You can make it go faster by using your boost either before you hit the travel drive or after. It just depends on the type of engine you're flying, what type of ship you've got. So okay, let's get close to this guy. We're going to go ahead and go into scan mode. Now, we have to be fairly close to these guys, but I can right-click and scan. And then I have to stay...
Scan away.
I have to keep my scanner kind of in the arc. There we go. If I try to do it over here, it will fail. There we go. But now, as you can see, I've gotten a little bit more information. I see what its storage is. Information unlocked is 66%. If I'm not mistaken, I think I might be able to get a little bit more if I get closer. Oh, but not probably if I crash into him. Perhaps not. Anyway, you'll want to do this a fair amount with certain missions, and more importantly, it's a very easy way, well, it's often the only way, to identify a pirate ship, because pirates, even though their names will say like Scale Plate or SCA, and it'll be something like Plunderer or what have you, so that you, the player, know, oh, that's a pirate, nobody else does. If you scan one of those, then it will reveal itself as a pirate and not whatever flag it's trying to fly under. And then if you attack it, that faction that it was pretending to be won't get angry. So that is the main use for the scan mode on ships in a lot of cases. It'll be for that. The other thing you can use it for is to identify how many Marines are on board, how many crew are on board the ship so that you can do a boarding. Figure out if it's going to kick you in the butt or not. All right. So we're going to stop the scan mode. And there we go. All right. So that's scan mode. It's used for checking out stations, checking out signal leaks, and scanning other ships. And then the last thing we'll talk about is long-range scan mode. So, right now we're in a sector where we already see everything. I want to go to a sector where we know nothing.
Jump gate. Atikva's choice.
So I'm going to travel drive and boost. There we go. And we'll look at long-range scan as soon as we get to the other side. Okay, so now we are in the sector called Hatikva's Choice 1, or what I like to call it, Hat 1. And all we know is the stuff that we're nearby, which is a defense platform, a factory, and this poor sucker who's being attacked by somebody. Oh, a bunch of laser towers by the Vigor Syndicate. Oh boy. Okay. You can see here we've got some Vigor ships. These are this is a pirate faction. Anyway, all right, and then we got our ribbon that goes up to here, and then we've got a superhighway with an entrance and an exit. Superhighways have two pieces, one to go in and one to come out. But we don't know anything else about this sector. So that's what the long-range scan is for. If you don't want to spend your time checking out every single piece of the map here, you want to get a general idea, a general sense of where things are, you can use the long-range scan. Now, in version 1.0 of the game, long-range scan was pretty much exclusively a cone out in front of you, extending from the nose of your ship out kind of like this. Since then, they've expanded it out. It's still mostly in front of you. It goes for a longer distance in front, I believe, but it does still catch a few things behind you. I don't think it's quite as far behind you as it is in front. So it is generally a best practice to do the long-range scan in the direction that you kind of want to be checking out. But it's not exclusively necessary as much as it used to be. So let's go over, just over here. There we go. And now, that's the Vigor Syndicate people. They're just having this whole, like, piracy conversation going on over there. All right. We're going to go ahead and do a long-range scan. So we're going to go into long-range scan mode. And that turns the cockpit blue-green. On its own, it doesn't do anything just being in the mode, the way scan mode does. So what you need to do is you hit your secondary weapon button, and you hold it down, and you're going to notice a field of light will start to appear here, and you want to let go right before it hits the point where they converge and causes the system to kind of fail and reset. So you'll watch and you'll see. There we go. That's a good one. If I hit it and don't, blah, it just stops. I can also do a pop like that, but it won't travel as far. So you want to do like this. Boom. And you'll see it fly out like that. Now, like I said, it's not entirely just that area. Oh my goodness, look at that out there. Just noticing there's a whole saga happening right now. Everybody's getting shot at. That's just fun. So it's not only scanning that line in front of me, it is scanning up and down as well, but just not all the way up and all the way down. So if I do this and I rotate, you can see it's moving out like this, but I am mostly at 90 degrees, so it was flying a little bit behind me. And if I run it here again, you can see it does have a little bit above as well. So it's not exclusively just in front, but it is also not fully 360 degrees. Now, here is what you have gained by doing long-range scan. Question marks. Everywhere there's question marks. Now, I happen to know that there's stuff up here. So I know then that my long-range scan did not extend out past this distance. So it is basically going to be a ring-ish, maybe an ovoid, like this. Now, that distance will depend on the size, essentially based on, look at the size of your little hexes here. This is 1 unit of distance on this sector. It's the same unit of distance over here. The fact that these are bigger means that this sector that we see here is less distance across than this one here. These hexes are essentially functionally infinitely wide. So, oh my goodness, would you please just stop? I could fly to the edge here and just keep on going, and then it would just basically zoom out, and then these little hexes would get smaller and smaller and smaller. I could do that over here as well. I could just fly to the corner here, to the edge, and I would just keep going, and then the whole map section here would just slowly zoom out as I go farther away. Okay. So, basically what I'm saying is that if I did a scan over here, it would actually seem to be going out farther, although in fact it's just going out a certain number of hexes. And it's just, the hex sizes are different here, so. Okay. So what this means now is that we have identified a couple of objects, a bunch of objects out here in space. We don't know what they are yet, but we can hover over and say, okay, that's a station, that's a station, that's a station, more stations, unknown object. Station. Oh, object. All right, so let's go figure out what these things are. So I'm going to go here and...
Unknown station.
Say unknown station. Oh, I want unknown object. Let's go look at the unknown object. Of course, it says we don't know what it is because it's an unknown object, but we're going to go fly over there. I've switched to travel mode, which means that long-range scan mode has been turned off. Can only do one mode at a time. Ah, look, it's a laser tower.
Pilot, if you are hearing this independent pirate broadcast.
Okay, didn't want to spoil anything for you. So once you get close enough, of course, then you will see what it is, and close enough basically means that you're exposing the area on the map based on the size, the distance of your radar. If you've got another ship, let's say, where's my Cobra? Oh, he's over here. Oh, that's right. I had him. Haha. He's out here exploring. That's why. Okay. But you can see where he goes, also the map gets exposed. And as you can see, he's moving here and he's expanding the map edge a little bit. If I have this guy, like, go over here, and I have his buddy go out here. You see it? There we go. Now you can see it's zooming out the map a little bit, and the hexes are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. If there are no stations out here, then when everybody leaves this sector, when you kind of move back towards the middle and get out of the way, whatever, it will eventually shrink back down over time because there's no reason for you to always see everything out here if there's nothing out there to look at. Doesn't necessarily go 100% all the way back, but it does like make it so that if you keep flying for an hour and then fly back, you're not going to be stuck with this teeny weeny little section in the middle that's all of your stations and then just this big arm going out to the middle of nowhere. It will eventually kind of shrink back down to something like this. Anyway, so we have now seen that there's a laser tower over there. We've seen that station. We can go and look at these here. Let's go and look at that object. I can already tell that that's going to be a jump gate just because of the way it's shaped. But let's go take a look. That was travel drive and boost again. So as we fly through, we'll start to reveal what these are. There's another satellite. There's a satellite supply factory. Engine parts factory. And there we go. There's a jump gate to Morningstar. Now, I have now reached kind of the edge of where my long-range scan took me from back there. So, let me go ahead and do another one. Ta-da! Now it exposes a bit more. And you just keep on doing that throughout if you want to do it yourself. You can also tell one of your guys, for example, this guy here, we can tell him to explore this sector. We talked about this in an earlier episode, that the best way to do that was by exploring on a gate that goes to the sector you want to be exploring. So if I have this guy and I want him to explore here, come over here and right-click, explore, and then he will come over here and just explore Atikva's Choice 1. And what he'll do is he'll run around to the different areas and look at all the stuff that he finds. He essentially does a long-range scan when he gets into the system and then goes to all the question marks. How long it takes him to do that will depend on his skill level as a pilot and so on. Now, as I mentioned, long-range scan and travel mode are mutually exclusive. As is the case with all the modes, you can't do more than one at a time. But that doesn't mean you can't do a long-range scan at high speed. So, here's what we're going to do. I have my long-range scan set. Oops, that's not what I wanted. To a button. It's actually to one of my hat directions. And I have my travel drive set to a button, of course. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go at high speed, and I'm going to ping my long-range scanner while I'm still moving at speed. And then I will turn my travel drive back on to keep going fast. So here we go. All right, travel drive is picking me up. I'm gonna wait till we get a little bit more speed here. Okay, long range scan done. Travel drive boost. There we go. If I had waited until my travel drive was at my 4300 max or whatever it is, then I would not have decelerated quite so far. So I can try that again, and I'll show you what that would look like if I were going already at max speed. And by the way, we're getting close to where we can start to reveal some more things. All right, here we go. There. So you can use long range scan and travel drive together. It just, you're going to lose some speed and then you just pick it right back up again. If you don't need a long range scan to go all the way, if you don't need to get to the farthest reaches, you can do a quick ping. Like that. It won't get you your full distance, but it'll get you enough that maybe there's something you know for sure is in the area that you just can't find. The other thing you can do with the long-range scan, which you will find using a lot in certain missions, is finding things like lockboxes and satellites, and mainly lockboxes. For example, if you've got a mission that you've picked up that asks you to go find a lockbox, it'll tell you the general area where it will be. It'll give you like this little sphere area. You go to that area, or to the edge of it, I should say. You go to the edge of that area and you do a long-range scan. Oops. In that edge area. And most of the time it will reveal the lockbox that you're looking for. The only time it won't is if it is very, very far off of the plane of where you're flying from. Because, like I said, you don't get a full 360 degrees vertically either. It just kind of goes up to like here. And if the thing that you're scanning for is actually up here, the long range scanner won't see it. So what you do in those cases, of course, is you just kind of, you do the thing that they do in the last Starfighter. You just spin around and just keep firing it off. Well, I mean, I guess this isn't really like a Death Blossom. It's sort of a lame Death Blossom, but you know what I mean. Okay, well, that's exciting.
M.
He's probably going to die before I can get over there, but what I'd like to try to do is get a scan on him. No! No, he's too fast for me. Oh, I can't scan him. Too far away. Anyway. Oh, I should also mention, there is a hotkey that you can set for scanning so that you don't have to use the right-click context menu and just hit the scan button that you have set up, and it will start the scan directly, automatically. Well, we're going to leave it here. When we come back, I don't know what my next item on the agenda is, but I think it might be basic combat. We'll find out. Thanks for watching. See you next time.